What places have you tried before?
Well, I've been woofing off and on since about 2001. Always with you. Initially, I just did it just because I was looking after my parents. I just needed some kind of outlet every few months just to get a feeling of a life of my own. And woofing suited me because I didn't need money. And so it began like that, but the longer I was staying at my parents, the more, and looking after my parents, the needs got more demanding, and the need for me to get away and start living somewhere else became more intense. So I began woofing just as a kind of working holiday, but it became more and more an opportunity to look for a new opportunity in life, and I started focusing more on communities. And at one stage I got really disillusioned because I just felt every place I felt I tried, I think maybe I'm just being too idealistic, and the place that's in my mind, maybe it doesn't exist. But then coming here and finding something which I think I always had in my mind all along, and that feeling of being somewhere where it feels right, has just created a kind of changed my consciousness in a big way. Because I feel that I'm not searching for something in the same way I was before.
And that gives you what?
Security, a chance to grow that I haven't had a chance to grow before. More at peace with myself. I think one term I used before I came here is that I felt like a kind of a table with one leg missing, and that I thought I'd got some basic aspects of my life sorted out, but not being able to find a kind of social environment where I felt at home was something that had kind of holding me back a lot. And the fact that I found somewhere where I can, all the things I'd achieved before I came here, I can really put into practice here at the same time as filling in the things that have been neglected before I came here. I just feel like a foundation has become settled.
Living in the community as well, I think, really sort of enhances your own knowledge of yourself, because you have to you're immersed in the consequences of your actions, so you really have to face up to who you are, and sort of you get a better idea of who you are and stuff by the way other people see you. And I think that's a really useful thing. I've noticed the sort of domino effects just from being here, from all the people linked to my life already. How differently they sort of relate to me, and how they, just by me being here, it makes them question as well.
Definitely.
Because I've decided to do that they sort of find it something to think about as well. But moving to Cornwall was like a big eye opener. Well, just moving to going to uni and moving to Manchester was a big eye opener, because I didn't realise that people were not so aggressive. It's quite good to see people who are treating each other nicely and stuff. And then Cornwall was another step up from that. That was another gradual sort of growth towards living in harmony with people. And I suppose this place is a step up even from that. So I've always been on the pathway to live in harmony, I think, with other people. But started at a place that was quite sort of disharmonious, if that's the word. But I always managed to get on with the people, though, luckily. I don't know how I managed to get away with it, but I did. I never had any sort of fights or major arguments or anything. which is really lucky.
Or maybe because you don't give off aggression, you know, you don't give off that vibe of aggression, do you? So.
Mm. Yeah, it was lucky though. In some ways, I think it's good that because it's so like at odds with who I am to be in that environment. Like I would have I'd never choose to drift into environments like that. But
I don't think most people would.
No, I was sort of just dropped in the middle of it and forced to be there. But I don't know, it's probably taught me a lot in some senses. I mean, it wasn't that bad. It's not like growing up in Somalia or something. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing compared to anything like that. But childhood and all, like teenage years and stuff now, just seems like another life altogether almost. Feels almost impossible to think that I was a kid once. That I actually was a child once. It just doesn't. It's hard to imagine.
Well, I think me and Stu felt like, even before we came here for our trial week, we felt like we were supposed to be here, and we weren't gonna sort of go anywhere else. This was gonna be where we were gonna be. We did realise that that would depend on if we actually fitted in with the people who lived here already. They might have different ideas, but we kind of felt like it was going to be okay and it would work out, and it did. I mean, there wasn't the pressure, but there was the thought that, you know, the reason why we might not get accepted would just be if they felt our personalities clashed in some way with the people who were already here. But we thought as long as that didn't happen, we'd be alright. So. But also I appreciate what we're supposed to be doing with our spare time here, and I think at the moment that's more important, and I'd rather be doing that, working sort of self-development type, doing meditation, not in a selfish way, because I do want to be helping other people, but I do feel like I've spent 27 years out there trying to, not all that time obviously I was a kid and stuff, but trying to help other people, and actually it is quite good to have that space to, not that I feel like I need help or healing or anything like that, because I don't. I feel quite secure and quite level-headed, and I feel quite, I don't know, happy with who I am, but I think it's always really useful to have that extra space and extra sort of encouragement and time, and that's what our afternoons are supposed to be free, because we're supposed to be using them wisely. Because normally, if I was sort of thinking of going somewhere, I'd probably want to try out a few places and see where's good and that. But when I came here, I was like, no, I don't want to try any. I just didn't want to at all. I had no desire to try any other place. Because Richard said, if you sort of, when you go home and have a think about whether you want to come here, it probably would be wise to try out some other communities, And I went, yeah, and I was thinking, no, I don't want to. And that wasn't because we were in any rush or hurry or anything like that, because we didn't have to move, We were staying at my dad's, and, that's not ideal, but we could have stayed there for longer and looked for a different place if we'd wanted to, but we didn't want to, so...
I can't do jigsaw anymore because my finger really hurts.
Okay. You need to send a sick note.
Yeah. Can my mum write you a letter tomorrow? Right, I'm going to get some biscuits. What biscuits are you?
Is any rich tea?
There is in the big box. Do you want me to get you one next to that?
If it's convenient, yeah.
space to talk in small groups.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, it's nice to talk in big groups because it's also
Hang
nice.
on, it's good to talk. Cheers, Roberto. Okay, hope it turns out semi-normal. If you edit about an hour and 14 minutes, that should leave about 5 minutes.